All right, most of you know me. Again, I am LesCorp, and I've been teaching, like many of you all, in higher education for the past 25 years. I've been here at Fayetteville Tech for 15 years plus. I started in January 2004, and before that I was teaching at Fayetteville State University. And of course, like many of you all, I've taught Fort Bragg extensively in numerous places. And so that's what I've done. Now, during that time, the past 25 years, sporadically, I have taught at different places, but also I've done some seminar work as a communication consultant. But I haven't done it a lot. I've just basically done it sporadically. But now, since I've taught 20-some years, I'm thinking about going into it a little bit more and maybe even full-time. So I've started LesCorp Communication Consulting. Now, don't tell my dean that, but
it'll be our secret.
So I've started LesCorp Communication Consulting, and so I appreciate you guys coming out. Now I'm going to cover pretty much three basic things. I'm going to talk about the five what I call pillars or core concepts of it. I'm also going to give you a couple of examples of it, and then talk about my blog. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, as you can see, we've got my website here. Now I'm not going to I teach public speaking here. That's one of the primary things that I do. So I'm not going to do like some of my students do and say, as you can see, it's hard to read. No, I'm not going to do that. But I do want you to see the website. And when you look at the website, it tells you pretty much what I do. Okay. So the five core concepts are, I present seminars on leadership or leadership training, of course, public speaking training, interpersonal communication training, group communication training, as well as social media training. So those are the five pillars or core concepts of what I do. So if a business or organization needs training in any of those areas, I can come in and offer training in those areas. So again, when you click on the website, I have something called featured programs and featured individual programs. The featured programs are comprehensive. So what happens is I take one of the five concepts, leadership training, public speaking. I take one of those core concepts and I present a seminar for 3+ hours. So it can be 3 to 4 hours, or it could be, sometimes they have conferences where they last a few days. So the program ones are comprehensive. Now, I also have individual seminars where from one of the five, leadership, public speaking, interpersonal, I'll just take a topic, and that will be an hour to 2 hours. But generally, it's going to be an hour to an hour and a half. So I have individual seminars, which are shorter in length and more specific, and I also have more comprehensive seminars that last, again, 3+ hours. So that's the basic of what I do. Now, let me give you a couple of examples. Now, this is one I did several years ago, and the topic was communication and gender differences. And the subtopic is the way men and women communicate differently. And that was a fun one, because when you're dealing with communication, you're dealing with men and women, we all know there can be issues. Am I right or am I wrong? I love that one. So this is how I started this one off. As I was researching it, and this was going to be given to pretty much the public, because at that time, the organization I was working for, they had a fine art series, and I was chosen to go in and speak as a part of it. And it had something to do with the Cumberland County Arts Council and a couple other agencies that had come together. So as I was researching, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have the public. So how can I really get them involved with this, communication differences, how men and women communicate differently? So as I was researching, I said, I got it. So what I did, I came up with 5 phrases that I had heard and seen in terms of people saying and then in the research. And so that's how I started. That's how I grabbed their attentions. Because you all know I teach public speaking. So you say your name, you say your purpose, you grab their attention, and then you preview. So the way I grabbed their attention was this. I had 5 phrases, what I call misconceptions. And this was the first one. Women talk too much. And I said it too. I stood flat-footed and I said it. And this is how I started a presentation. I told them my name, And then I gave my credentials, my background. And then I said, women talk too much. And I said it. The third one was this. And it wasn't what I said as much as it was how I said it. I said, men don't talk enough. And the reactions that I got from just those two was immense. When I said the first one, I never forget. All the ladies in the house, oh boy, I got them. I never forget one in particular. She had her purse, she was sitting, she had her purse, and when I said, women talk too much, she grasped it, pierced her lips, she looked, I said, I got her. You know. And then when I said, men don't talk enough, a lot of those ladies were like. So what happened was they saw where I was going with it. Everybody follow me? Did I grab their attention? You better believe it. And so after I got to the fifth one and I said that one, I hurried up and cleaned it up. I said, I'm here to inform you about communication differences and how men and women communicate differently. And I smiled when I said it. And all the women in the house, they were like, oh, like that. Great. I love that one. So that's how I really got them involved with the presentation. Now, another presentation I did was for Highsmith Rainey. And again, this was years ago. I'm going back and I'm going to cover up some years. And now it's under the Cape Fear Valley Health Systems umbrella. And so what I did in there was I went in and did a presentation on professional relationships. So in the audience, pretty much what you had was nurses, LPNs, and CNAs. And they wanted me to come in and help improve the relationship in terms of how they communicated with one another as well as the doctors. Because when I opened up for the question and answer and we were kind of discussing what I was, the information that I was putting forth, that they had some issues with, some of the things that they were doing with each other, but as well as the doctors as well. And so that was a memorable one, and we really had fun with that one. And again, I've done seminars in a lot of different places, talking to a lot of group of people. And so I make them fun. I don't necessarily come in and just talk the whole time. There's a lot of interaction that we do because it's just better that way. Now, one of the recent ones that I did, I went to a church and I did a customer service seminar. And it was to a group of their ushers. And if you think about that, that should make sense, right? Because generally, when people are coming in, whether it be a visitor or parishioner, who's the first face that you see? It's going to be the ushers. And so I came in and I did a professional seminar for their ushers. And that was dear to my heart because when I first got into church for real and got committed and started going, that was one of my jobs. I was a parking attendant / usher. So that was something that was near and dear to my heart. So I had a little credibility in both areas in terms of the church as well as in the academic part. So again, depending upon the organization and who they are and what they need, if it's communication related and it deals with those 5 pillars, leadership training, public speaking, interpersonal, which is one-on-one communication, group communication, social media, I can come in and help our organization with that. So that's generally what I do with those areas. And I wrote this down, didn't want to forget it. Okay, I got all those. All right, so I do want to mention my blog. So what I do, I put out a blog every week, and I started last week. And so I brought in, and hopefully it'll play, and you guys will be able to hear it. I put out a very short blog, and of course, what's it related to? Communication. And so I put out a blog, and also I put out a video that goes with that blog. And of course, it goes everywhere. I put it out on my social media, I put it out on Facebook, of course it's on YouTube, and it's also on my website. So I just want to show it to you and kind of give you a flavor of what I do with my blog and the video that accompanies it. All right, Facebook family, I want to drop you a pearl. I hear a lot of people say communication is the key, and they're talking about relationships. Another phrase I hear all the time is, you must communicate. And I understand what people are getting at. They're saying if you don't communicate, the issue is not going to be resolved. But a lot of times people say it like, communication is the key. And they stop, and they rear back, and they do a mic drop. And I always tell people, communication is a key, but it's not the solution. Because you could communicate, you could argue, you could disagree, and not come even close to some type of resolution. So communication, just to communicate, is not necessarily going to bring about the change or the resolution that's wanted. And so I always get people to really think about that. Yes, communication is good, but what kind of communication is it? Because if that communication is not drawing the two parties that are involved toward a resolution, then it's not doing what it needs to do. It's not bringing about the change that people want. So I really want you to think about that. Have you ever said that? You listen to couples and you think about your relationship and you're like, yes, you got to communicate. But is that communication actually doing what you all need and or intend for it to do? Because communication by itself is not the solution. The solution comes through the communication. Write a few comments below. And so again, I put that on Facebook, and that's my recent. And when you look at the blog that I have here, it pretty much gives you. Sorry, too many clicks. But I have a blog section, and it pretty much the blog just has the same information in written form, because people nowadays, some people don't watch videos, some people they just read and vice versa. So I'm trying to hit as many people as I can with that. But generally that's what I do, and I've gotten some really good feedback about communication. And so in a nutshell, and to conclude, that's me, Corpening, LesCorp Communication Consulting. What we do, we come in and we help people with their communication issues. And I do want you to remember this. We turn communication zombies into communication heroes. Thank you guys for coming.
Question. Go ahead. Are you involved with Toastmasters at all? Do you know?
No, I have never been. I've sent students to Toastmasters, but since I teach public speaking and been doing it so long, I just do this and do my work. But I have actually sent students to Toastmasters, because some students say, hey, Mr. Corpening, I'm not going to take another public speaking class again, but I want to try to get more training, and then I refer them to Toastmasters.
Have you tried looking at actually taking the business and putting in your seminars into conflict resolution, like you actually said in the video right there?
Right.
Because there is a big market of it booming, especially in daycare and younger generations. There's actually a girl downtown who runs the Cool Spring Clubhouse. And that's what their structure is on, is actually conflict resolution within children, so that they learn how to, like you're saying, find that resolution, find that compromise within the two ways of feedback and input and so on. So
I definitely have. When you look at the pillar of interpersonal communication and also group, it's housed within those. Okay. So what happens is, if I run into a person who, because I launched this in February.
Okay.
And so recently, I've heard people, when I tell anybody, every time I tell somebody, oh, that's great, it's needed. And most of them think about their job. You need to come to my job. Yeah. And my retort is, okay, who's your HR person? Or the person who makes those decisions. So I'm actually in those discussions now. So definitely, that is one of the subtopics that's within the interpersonal, and that's a huge topic. A lot of times you'll see something, and I think we've had it here. I don't know if it was a person here that actually did the seminar, or somebody from like Fred Pryor, who's huge, which is where I would love to be. That's a place that does what I do, but they just do it on a much larger scale. But there's a phrase that a lot of seminar topics are to have this phrase, dealing with difficult people. And I have one that's titled that. So yeah, I definitely do that. And so when I deal with folks, it just depends upon what they actually need. Team building is a no. That's a huge one. Because when I first got here to Fayetteville Tech in 2004, I can tell you guys a quick anecdote. I got here in 2004 in January. So, I needed the job. So I don't care what Fayetteville Tech told me at that time, I was going to believe it. Everybody follow me? Because when you need a job, you need it. So I was going through the paperwork, filling out everything, and they were just telling me how wonderful Fayetteville Tech was. Ooh, okay, good. And so I was just listening. So I started working. After about a year or so, I kept hearing, oh, Fayetteville Tech is wonderful. We're a family. And so, now the cynical side of me pops up, and I'm like, okay, something has to be bad about this place. Anybody like me? Well, that's how I am. And so I said, I'm going to start looking for something bad. So I had worked here a year, 2 years came on, and we just got reviews. You all know how it is. The dental folks, they get 100% on passing exams. How many of you have heard that? You know, that type of stuff. I'm like, man, that stuff is wonderful. I said, I'm going to find something bad. About 2.5 years in, we had a meeting, and it was a big meeting. And, you know, they were spitting out those statistics. You know, 95% of the people who are in graphic design, they get, you know, board certified and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, you know. And so one of the issues was they said, we sent out a survey to our graduates, but we also sent out a survey to the companies that employ them. How many of you have heard about that? That survey, okay? So they were saying, yes, 92% of the companies said they would hire FTCC graduates and blah, blah, this and all that. And I was like, okay, the normal stuff. And so I heard this. The person who was giving the presentation said, the number one problem, according to the survey that we send to businesses, the number one problem that we have with FTCC graduates is they don't get along well together. And I was like, I had two reactions. I was like, we found it. You know, something bad about Fayetteville Tech. And then I said, hey, wait a minute. You teach their communications class. So, you know, who should be directly involved with that statistic? Everybody follow me. You know, me. And so we do have a component in our classes that helps with group communication. And so a lot of times what you'll see out there, if a person or an organization wants help with group communication, is you won't see group communication anymore. That's an older term. What you see is team building. And a lot of times you'll see that in the seminar topic. And so we come in and do those. Now on another side, I told a gentleman that I was going to be starting this up, and we had been talking about it for a while. And then actually after I started business, when I went and did the customer service training for the church, I had a pastor come to me and said, hey, I want you to do a marriage retreat as a part of your business. I said, oh yeah, that'll work. Because when you look at the interpersonal part, there's a whole range in there that deals with relationships and how men and women come together. Romantic relationships, friendships, and also church-wise, I've been ministering for 25 years. So we're actually in the organizational stage, and we're trying to set a date for the fall for me to come in and do a 2.5-day marriage retreat for that particular, and I'm doing it for that church.
What is the demand for your services?
There is a huge demand because when you look at professional development, one of the issues is, again, a lot of times in businesses and organizations, is actually people coming together. And so, generally in businesses and organizations, that's what you're going to be dealing with. You're going to be dealing with two of the main areas, are the interpersonal communication as well as the group communication. So generally, that's what I get in those two, in those areas. Anybody else have any questions? I'm sorry.
You said you're launching the consulting business. Okay. Are you still going to stay in education?
As of right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Still going to be doing it and try to get it, because I've been doing it for 25 years.
In a particular month, how many seminar or consulting session you have, and how much money you make out of it? If you apologize for that, just I want to see if it's a good business or not.
Well, what my goal is, again, I launched in February. So my goal is at least 3 per, as I look into the future. And so I have, as a matter of fact, I have one tomorrow here at Fayetteville Tech, and I'm doing one on leadership. And it's basically going to cover leadership styles. We're talking about strengths and weaknesses, and kind of give students an idea of, if they have any leadership experience, kind of what mold they may or may not fit into. So I actually have one scheduled for tomorrow here at Fayetteville Tech. I have a couple more that are in the works, but that's my goal, at least 3. And of course, all of them aren't going to be paid here at Fayetteville Tech. It's not paid. But some of the other ones that I have that are in the works are going to be paid. And it really just depends on, what it is. Now, I do have a set fee structure. The fee structure is if you're doing an individual topic or individual seminar that lasts an hour, it's going to be $175. and that includes everything, the material that I hand out, and everything else that I do. I never do a presentation that's a seminar without giving folks stuff. And so that's what I do. So from that 175, if you do 90 minutes or 2 hours, I just go up from that. And so that's kind of how that works.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
What are you doing right now to market your business?
Ha ha ha. So funny you should ask. I'm doing this. but also, I've done the basic tell everybody that I know that family and friends, yes, but also a lot of professional folks that I know in different areas. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to target people who are in organizations that actually hire people to come in and do stuff, like consulting or staff development. So I've told, and when I say I told folks, I have a network, of course, on Facebook. I have 350 to 500 followers, friends. And so, of course, I did all the social media and I put it out in a professional way. And then I have people go to the website. So that's one of the main ways. And then also I just contacted a couple people that I know who knows people in different industries. And so I'm having them word of mouth tell people about me, who I am, and then to contact. So, for example, I had somebody contact a person who's a principal, and they actually have people come out and have people come in and do consulting. So they let them know I got the principal's email, and so I sent some information to the principal and let the principal know, hey, I come in and do staff development. That deals with communication. So right now, the majority of it is word of mouth and through social media. That's the majority of what I'm doing. And again, since February, and I've gotten a fairly good response.
What about reaching out to college students and to high school English classes? Because these are the kids are going to start applying for jobs and need to start early in how to convey their
Linda, he wants to make money with this.
Yeah. You are correct. It's a great idea. I think 10 years ago, or maybe 15, I probably would be, it would be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not humanitarian, but altruistic.
Yeah.
But right now, since in the latter part, the money angle is, it's not the overarching. That's why I'm, here doing this, as well as, again, I'm doing the one tomorrow. So I'm trying to get it out. But in terms of the high school, that whole area, the only way I would do that is if I go into the staff development teachers, because I have credibility, So.
Les, it looks like you've got a lot of knowledge and you do communicate well. It seems a little broad to me. Like when I saw your description on the 1 million cups,
Right.
I had a little networking group that morning, and we're always looking for things like that. But we look for that because we're marketers.
Right.
If you're looking to make a business out of this, I would narrow it down a little bit. One problem, one solution, because it's so broad that,
Right.
when you talk about interpersonal communication, nobody knows what the hell that is.
Right. That is true.
And the other thing about the description, you need to find one niche so you won't drive yourself crazy. You find out who your ideal client is, what you're thinking in your mind. Let's take businesses, for example.
Right.
It's like this gentleman said, is there a demand for this? Do they even know they need training in communication, help in communication? They don't. You need something like, let's take your description for communication, gender differences. Snore City. Right? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. See the difference?
Right.
And you need to start doing that, because a lot of the things that you mentioned here with the pillars that you have and everything,
Right.
very interesting. I would take off from there. That's what's going to attract people.
Right.
You got to figure out their pain point, what problem they're having in their business, and say like your banker, for example, would be a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a seminar where you tell them to invite the business owners to your seminar about solving one problem for them in communication that they have with their employees,
Right.
or from employees to customers,
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going to make them the most money.
Right.
That's why they're going to pay you.
Right.
They're not going to pay just for the knowledge of it.
Right.
It has to be applied knowledge,
Right.
so that they can do better in their business, make more money.
Right.
That way you'll justify your fee, and then you'll be charging $375 instead of $175.
Right. Look, I totally agree. And that's where I am, because my wife and I, who's my business partner, who's the brains of the operation, same thing. I had another guy, he did businesses, ran business for 20 years. He's like 65, he doesn't do it anymore, he has residual income coming in. He said the exact same thing, that you said. And so that's kind of where I am. And part of my response to him was, okay, I get it. I know I need a niche, but since I'm just starting out, I'm not sure what that niche is.
That's exactly what you do. As long as you're looking for it, you'll
Right,
find it.
right.
You may not find it initially. You may think it's one niche, but then you say, well, it's great, but I'm not making any money. And then you go to another one, and then
Right.
you hit the mother load.
Right.
But I have one suggestion for you.
Okay.
Watch that business structure there. It takes a very special couple. It's like a man teaching his wife to play golf or shoot a gun. Good luck on that.
Right. You are correct. But
God bless you.
But I
He's a
can
communication expert.
Look, I'm telling you, you do not have to worry about that.
And MMA training.
You don't have to worry about that at all. And the reason why I say that is because my wife and I have been married for 24 years. And so we've gone through, not everything that you can go through, of course, but trust me, I'm the communication expert, and so I would come home and say stuff, and oh no, and then, so yeah, I get that, and so, but then we've had some really good mentors as well, and one of the greatest mentors that we had were two pastors. They had been married the time that we got there, they had been married 30 years. And so we've been in this church for 25 years. So, so we've had that, plus my training and her training. And so that's going to go along well together. And we've done stuff together over the years. So we've kind of, I hate to say it this way, but kind of fought through that stuff. And so we're able to come in and help other people. Because, we mentor people as she's a minister as well. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. But I got enough knocks and bruises upside the head to really help in that area. And we're actually going to do with, I just want to put a caveat on that. What we're actually going to do with the marriage retreat that we're putting on is I'm going to do something different that most people don't do, which is, because of course, it's under LesCorp. It's housed, of course, under LesCorp Communication Consulting. And so I'm going to be providing information. My wife is going to provide some information as well. And then what we're going to do, we're going to split the couples up. And a lot of times what you have is you have men going with men and women going with women. But we're going to switch it up. I'm going to talk to the women, and she's going to talk to the men for a particular part of the topic. And we're really going to, the particular topic that we're going to talk about, she's going to talk about it from a woman's point of view to try to get the men to really understand. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm going to go from the man's point of view to get these women, hey, women, this is how men think. And so that's how we're going to switch that up, because we've been going at it for 20-some years. So we believe we can help somebody else.
Just to throw in there, because, just like Don's saying, to find that niche or that one style, from
Right.
what I'm listening, because I've taken a couple interpersonal classes, or like Ms. Lozzie and a few others,
Right.
it sounds to me like the thing that is your niche is engaging in a dual perspective.
Oh.
Because you've got men teaching the women and women teaching the men, so
Right.
you believe in having that open balance so that each person has a conflict and or something to address within themselves
Right.
that makes them look in another view.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, a lot of what you're describing is that dual perspective,
Right.
understanding that my wife's a minister and I'm a minister, but we're both two different people and we can do two different things.
Mm-hmm.
But we come together as a group collective, which is a big part of building a good team, is that dual perspective with others
Right.
inside of that group.
Right. We've thought about the relationship aspect. As a matter of fact, what we're doing now, we're coming up with a particular topic seminar, and we're going to go the interpersonal route. And I know I can't say, don't tell anybody I said this, but I hate that word as a communication scholar. Because interpersonal, what is that? So I always say one-on-one. And so I hate that word. I'm going to come up with something else. But in terms of relationships, instead of using interpersonal, generally that's what I use, relationships. So we're going to come up with a relationship, not a seminar, but we're going to do something. We're trying to figure out what we're going to call it, because we don't want to call it a meet and greet. We don't want to call it an interest meeting. You know what I mean? But we're going to put something out. But the narrow focus is going to be on relationships, and we're going to see how that works as it relates to people coming out and getting interest with that. Because she went to a a business like this. She went to a business meeting. I was out of town doing the customer service seminar. And so she went to that. And when of course they have people go around, what are you here for? And, tell everybody what their business was. When she told folks what our business was, she said their mouths dropped. And then she mentioned, she just came 2 or 3 of the pillars. And then when she started talking about interpersonal communication and relationships, oh, yeah, that's what we need. And then after it was over, people came up to her and they were asking her, okay, when are you guys going to do this? And we were like, she was like, oh, wait a minute, we're putting it out. And so we're coming up with something, but we don't have something. So we're thinking that might be a place where we can really focus on in terms of the interpersonal relationship. But in terms of organizations, I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm thinking the team building, that type of thing, where you can actually still get into the interpersonal somewhat. Because when you have groups, you have dyads. Everybody follow me? You got 2 people, but also you've got more than one. So we're just kind of in the discovery stage. That's pretty much where we are.
How much input did your wife have into the selection of your business name?
None. No, I'm just kidding. I just told her, hey, LesCorp Communication Consulting. I've used that for, I'm not using it now, so you guys don't have to worry, but I've used that for like usernames and all kind of stuff throughout the years. And so for her, it made perfect sense. Really, I mean, she didn't have a problem with it. She didn't want to put part of her name in. Well,
I hear
so far. But for her, it made perfect sense for her, so she doesn't mind.
Are this picture your colleague or your client? The picture of these people that you have?
Well, they can be whoever you want them to be, but I'm trying to show in a business setting, everybody follow me, and as potential clients. Yeah.
Have you thought about developing a customer service seminar to engage customer service in businesses?
I have, because when I did that, when I came up with the idea of doing a customer service seminar, the first place I thought of was a church because I'm heavily involved in it. And then I remembered my background. I was the church that I attend now, at the old sanctuary that we have, it's a little different than the newer one that we have. So long story short, we would have to, when you pull up to our church, you could see where to park, but then there were other places where you weren't sure because there were some residential areas around it. So we were outside helping people to park, and then sometimes we would valet park and that type thing. That customer service skills start there. And so I remember, I said, man, this would be great for the church. And so that's when I came up with that customer service seminar for the church. And then also, of course, as I was going through getting information and going back over some stuff I had seen previously, I said, well, how can I fit this in with a business or organization dealing with like receptionists and, administrative secretaries and that type of thing. So, I've been thinking about that and trying to figure out how I can kind of incorporate that, into the business side in terms of, not the nonprofit church, but the business component of it. So, yeah, I have been wrangling with that because I know that would be a huge a part of, going into a business or organization.
Have you ever spoke with the military or soldiers? What you do?
I've told a few, and as a matter of fact, I have a friend who is 31 years in, and he works for the Department of Homeland Security. And so I told him what I was doing, and he was like, oh yeah, man, this would be great. And I said, I know, because I deal with military folks all the time. So I have him working on some stuff with me, and he's contacting a few people that he knows that maybe I can come in. But the thing about the military is the idea of contracts, being contractual as opposed to a consultant. It's a whole different ballgame. So he's helping me work through that in terms of maybe coming in that way. And then, of course, being here at Fort Bragg, he was saying my niche maybe could be the military, of course, because this is a population that's segmented. And, and I am kind of looking into that. I know a few people who work on Fort Bragg. And so, but what I've been trying to do is get with someone who actually hires people to come in. And I have met with 1 or 2 people who know someone who does that. So now I'm waiting on them to, put my name out there, send them to my website and that type of thing. So I'm networking in that area. So I am in that area, but it's just taking a while.
Okay, there's a process. I retired from the military. I spent 23 years. And one of the jobs that I have, I used to be a government contractor.
Right.
So I wrote government contracts.
Right.
It is a different process. Now, if you're just going on post to just talk to soldiers, but if you're talking about being compensated for payment, it is government contracts. But I can tell you exactly how to navigate through that process.
Okay.
So,
So don't leave here.
I'll tell you how to do that.
Okay.
And how you can become a speaker for soldiers, because what you do is, whether it's relationships, customer service, all of that
Right.
has a very big impact on soldiers. And my last job was, I used to, we set up classes and we look for people outside of the military
Right.
that do what you do. So
Right.
I can definitely give you some information on how to navigate through that process.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know the gentleman I mentioned, he is, like I said, he's 31 years in. He's going to retire in September, so there's a program that they have, and it lasts a year. I don't know, I forgot the name of it, but when you get out of the military, I think it's transition.
Transition assistance program. I used to manage that program.
Right, and so I told him, I said, hey, because he said, hey, the person that came in, they told us about interviewing, they told us about this and this. Said, you could do that, and
I
I'm
can
like,
tell you exactly who to talk to.
that's what I knew. I said, duh. I said, but I'm trying to figure out how to navigate to go. Because I taught, again, I've taught soldiers for 25 years because I've been in this region. And so, like you said, exactly what I do would help in several areas with soldiers. Yeah.
So your next seminar is
Tomorrow
where?
at 12 in this room, and it's
And
leadership
which
styles.
pillar? Okay.
It-
Is that open to the public?
It is.
Okay.
It's in the leadership training, and I'm doing leadership styles, and I'm doing it for the Office of Career.
Development education.
Yeah, thank you, because I think they changed the name. But yeah, I'm doing it for Miss Troop, Miss Lassane, Miss Troop.
Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany. I'm doing it. Come in.
Are you familiar with the Fayetteville Regional Chamber and the Hope Mills Chamber? Because they could put you in front of hundreds of businesses.
Right, right. I've looked at that. My wife and I were like, hey, we need to do something, and so we ran across that. I'm kind of in the process of figuring out how to become a member and all that. I think there's a cost to that.
The cost is very minor for
Compared to what you-
for a
right.
sole entrepreneur.
Right, right. So yeah, we've thought about that, and I went to the website, and so I just got to go back and kind of get in the loop and do that. But I have thought about it.
You may want to talk to the people here at FTCC or Dean or other people and go to different class and provide them with about 30, 40 minute instruction about public speaking while you teach it. But there are many students, I asked some students to come and make a presentation in front of the class.
Right.
Some of them were very good, but others were scared to death to come and stand in front of people and talk.
Right.
So if you provide them a kind of teaching how they can overcome that anxiety,
Right.
that will be a great idea. And there are hundreds of classes we have. If you go to each class 1 day and 1 hour, that creates a good demand for your service.
It could, but since I'm already doing it, it's a little different because with me going into different classes, that really doesn't generate income, and I'm already teaching
So run
students.
it through the continuing ed section and give you a separate contract.
Yeah, and I thought about doing that too. Maybe coming in and doing a Con Ed class, at night or in the evening. I thought about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. But you just do it during the day.
Right.
And tagging on with Mr. O'Brien, I don't know if you're familiar with the Summerscapes program they have for kids in the summertime. That would be a great opportunity. It is a paid job that when you do this, but there are many
right.
courses for. Somebody mentioned about the youngsters coming up.
Right.
It's a great way to do. They do everything from academic review stuff to etiquette and different stuff like that. But Summerscapes, that would be Corpening who does that in Con Ed.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good one. But tagging on with also with what Don was saying about when you get your niche, I really think you need a more solid marketing plan because it sounds like you're relying a lot on word of mouth and people putting you in contact with others, which is always valuable.
Right.
But you need a little bit more solid plan.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. So I'm definitely going to work on it. You guys probably hear from me again.
And that's fine. We'd love to have you. I think Linda had it.
Right.
Is it your question?
I had one more.
All right, go ahead.
Are you set on that wow statement? Turning communication zombies into communication heroes?
No, but that's the first one I came up with that I think I can put out there. I watched a video that dealt with marketing, and I had never really thought about that before for a business to have a wow statement. And so I was like, So this is about a week ago.
Okay.
And so
I was just going to say, especially if you want to take it to relationships and churches,
Right,
especially
right.
businesses,
Right,
some of them
right.
are going to be like the zombies. he's a nerd. So it may put a different stain in the way that you present yourself
Right,
and
right.
what you're trying to actually get accomplished.
Right. What I'm trying to get across. The
Yeah.
reason why I use zombies because you see it a lot in movies.
Oh yeah, and I get that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, like kind of like with the engaging in your perspective, is
Right,
because
right.
if you want to see their side of it,
Right, right.
let them see your side of it.
Right,
as well.
right. And I like the video. The video said it have 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just got
Exactly.
1 right now, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely working on it. Because it's funny, I went home speaking to my wife, and I said, hey, what do you think about this as a catchphrase? And it was something totally different. And she went, so I had to ditch that one.
But watch also, going along with what you were saying about the zombies, because when you're dealing with churches, a lot of them, you're going on territory that makes them uncomfortable. Because when we sent our students to competition recently, they had to do a desktop publishing. Well, they did a play on sandwich, and they did a witch.
Right.
And we're like, wait a minute, you're
Right.
going to find some people who are very uncomfortable with
Right,
that
right.
those words
Right,
and stuff.
right, right.
Same thing with zombies. If you're dealing a lot with churches,
Right, right,
I
right.
don't know.
Well, Julie, I don't say it when I go in those areas. So
Okay.
I said it here, but yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, because I'm church, yes. So yeah, I'm a communication person, so I know meaning is very important. Semantics. I do have a 10 o'clock class, so I'm going to let her go ahead.
So what can we do for you, Leslie? What can this community do for your business?
Well, remember who I am. Remember what I do. I do a niche. If you know anybody who needs communication training, who has a business, who has a budget. No, I'm just kidding. But
No, you're not.
No, it's not.
and that's pretty much what I've been telling people. And I talk to people individually, generally one-on-one, and when in a group like this, and I find out who they know, what they know, that type thing, and I kind of go from there. But hey, I do communication training. If you know someone who has a business and they're complaining about the employees not getting along together, I can come in and help with that. Team building, problem solving, conflict resolution. You got a lot of phrase and catchwords out there. But what I do, I come in and do a needs assessment, and I find out from the organization, what their view is and what they would like to happen. And then if they allow me, I'll talk to a couple of employees before I develop the seminar that I come in and actually,
That's the best
Yes.
thing, as you've said. You need to find out what businesses want and need. Well, they all need it.
Right.
Everybody needs better communication.
Right.
It's like that great example about telling somebody how to smoke a cigarette. And, say you put it in your mouth and they put it in sideways. Right? You've got to find out what they need.
Right,
What they want.
right.
And then sell them what they want. And then give them what they need later.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
it's
see what you're
just,
saying.
you understand what
Right,
they want. It's
right.
not about you at all.
Right,
You've
right,
got the skills.
right, right.
Every business needs it. You can walk into any business right now and look at the way their employees stand, the way they greet the customers or don't greet them,
Right.
the way they handle their relationship with them. And so there's a niche out there. You just need to find out exactly what they want and then sell it.
But this can be part of your niche because so many times a business will hire somebody, they come in and give their bad answer seminar that they've done for everybody in the world. If you can say, I will come to your business, see what your needs are, and customize
Right.
the presentation to what your business needs,
Right.
that can be your selling point.
That's what I do because I teach public speaking.
But you need to market that way.
But they
Right,
don't,
right.
they don't know that. Like, that
Yeah.
goes back to what I said about that first paragraph that I
Right.
saw. The only reason I'm here today is because I saw the word communication in there. And I'm a marketer. I'm always looking for communication.
I got you.
Business, it's a little more esoteric with the business. They all need it.
Right, right,
They don't know why they need it.
right, right.
And they don't know what's going to happen when they get it.
I got you. I got you.
They know they're going to make money with it and solve that problem, that pesky problem that they've got.
Right, right,
And you're in because you've got the skills already. You just need to match it up with their
right, right.
product.
If you all run across something and you think about me, I am a FTCCC instructor. Put my name in, my email will pop up, and send me information. I would definitely receive it. Trust me, because I'm doing it.
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. That you're